For all of this, I express more sorrow, regret, and apology than you may ever know or can believe. For more than half a decade, I've always apologized for the inaccurate intelligence, in particular for the intelligence that Saddam had a stockpile of chemical weapons.
I constantly say to people there are no decisions that have been made in relation to Iraq at all, but there is no doubt that Iraq poses a threat in respect of weapons of mass destruction, and there is no doubt that this issue is an issue that should be dealt with.
There is no doubt at all the United Nations resolutions that Saddam is in breach of are there for a purpose. He is, without any question, still trying to develop that chemical, biological, potentially nuclear capability, and to allow him to do so without any let or hindrance, just to say we can carry on and do it, I think would be irresponsible. Look, I would never support anything I thought was wrong out of some blind loyalty to the US.
To allow Saddam to use the weapons he has, or to get the weapons he wants, would be an act of gross irresponsibility, and we should not and we must not countenance it.
I am quite sure, I think most people are, that he has these weapons, and that the people and the documentation exist to show that.
And the truth is, this issue of weapons of mass destruction is a real threat to the world. I believe, incidentally, that it is only a matter of time before it is linked with international terrorism.
Can we be sure that terrorism and weapons of mass destruction will join together? Let us say one thing. If we are wrong, we will have destroyed a threat that at its least is responsible for inhuman carnage and suffering. That is something I am confident history will forgive.
You know, there's always been something bizarre about the notion that Saddam never had any weapons of mass destruction. I mean, we had a 12-year history with the UN for a reason. As I've said constantly to you, I believe the intelligence we received is correct.
The intelligence community throughout, like the UN, like virtually, so far as I'm aware, most intelligence services in the world, certainly did believe that he had WMD weapons and capability and intent.
And just as I've had to accept that the evidence now is that there were not stockpiles of actual weapons ready to be deployed, I hope others have the honesty to accept that the report also shows that sanctions weren't working, that on the contrary, Saddam Hussein was doing his best to get round those sanctions, had every intention of redeveloping these programs and weapons of mass destruction.
The decision I had to take was, given Saddam's history, given his use of chemical weapons, given the over 1 million people whose deaths he caused, given 10 years of breaking UN resolutions, could we take the risk of this man reconstituting his weapons programs?
I still believe it was right to remove Saddam. We sometimes forget now what the regime was actually like and the devastation it caused, not just within his own country, but in the region and the wider world. I took a decision I thought to be right. I apologize for the fact that the intelligence we received was wrong, but I find it hard to apologize for removing Saddam. I think even from today in 2015, it is better that he's not there than that he is there. I would take the same decision, if I was back in the same place, with the same information, I would take the same decision. Obviously, that's the decision I believe was right.
Ignition. Lift off.
If you don't represent women in politics,